Hello and welcome. In this video we're going to take a look at a few techniques that you can use if you're looking for a color scheme for a website, or perhaps you're just looking for a color for something specific, maybe a font or a background or a header, something along those lines. I'm just going to show you a few techniques that perhaps I would use to find that color that I'm looking for. So the first thing I would do, and you can load up any browser, let's go for Edge. There's a website that I like to use if I'm lacking inspiration. For maybe I want a color scheme for a website, maybe I'm creating a new website, or maybe I'm just modifying an existing one. But there's a website called Dribble. This one here. And so this is a pretty cool site. I've used it many times. Unfortunately, it has changed slightly recently, so it makes it a little bit harder to actually find the color codes. But let me just give you an example, shall I? So say for example we're looking along here, and say you get some inspiration from a particular image, maybe this one over here. Say you like that particular shade of green, for example. If you click on that and hover over the image and just highlight this little icon here, you can see all of the colors that are being used in that image. So for example, let's say you like this particular shade of green. As you can see, as I hover over, you can see that color code there. You can use that in your own CSS in your own website. Let's go ahead and click on it. Once you've clicked on it, you'll see other websites that are also using that exact color. This one's pretty cool. Yeah, that's a pretty cool image. So let's have a look at what colors it's using. Maybe like this color of pink, for example, this shade of pink. So click on that. And actually what you'll see here is they've given you the color code, and you can use that in your CSS. I'm going to show you how you can go about using that. Likewise, let's say you was just on, I don't know, let's say the Microsoft site. Let's say you click on this link here. Say we're on the Microsoft site, and let's say for example you think to yourself, I quite like this shade of blue here, because I can tell that this is just HTML. What you can do is you can right click it and say inspect. This will work on pretty much all browsers. And if you look on the right hand side here, you can actually see the color code again. So you could actually go ahead, you could copy that, and you could use that exact color in your website. Let's use another example. Let's close this. Let's go back one. Say for example you were like, you know what, I quite like that shade of green. The trouble is I can tell that that's an image. So you're not, if you right click that and say inspect, you're not going to get the actual color because it's not dictated by CSS. So what you can do, if you take, for example, you can either save the image, or you can just take a print screen. If it were me, I generally just take a print screen, and then you can load up Paint, for example, paste that image in, so Control V, and if you select the color picker, let's say you wanted this green, if you hover over the color you want, click the left mouse button, you can actually select it, and if you see up here, you've actually selected that color. Now if you click on edit colors, for example, it'll actually be kind enough to give you the red, green and blue. Now obviously we can use the red, green and blue in your CSS to actually choose that color, although I prefer to stick to the color codes. So let me show you how you could convert that, for example. I haven't got any specific websites in mind, and that's on purpose because I just want to show you how easy it is to find a site even if you don't have one in mind. So what we're going to do is we're going to type in Rgb Web Color Code. Click enter. Right, let's try this one here. This looks promising. So click on that, and let's have a look. There should be an RGB. Can we change that? I think we can probably. Yep, it's looking good. So if we alt tab back to Paint, let's copy the red, put the red in. Let's copy the green, put the green in. I'm hoping this is going to work. Oh god, that's slightly annoying. Oh, it's come back. It's come back. Let's. You know what? This is a horrible site. Let me try another one. Let me try another one. What about this one? Okay, can we change that? Let's have a look. I can't change that. That is disappointing. Alright. Third time lucky, I think. Right. This looks pretty good. This one looks pretty good. Let's try again, shall we? Right, so copy the red. Perhaps I should bookmark one in the future because it will save time. But paste that in for the green, and let's paste that in for the blue, and click convert to hex. Excellent. We got there in the end, and that's the point. You don't have to have a site in mind. You can just surf the web, and you'll stumble across a site just like this that can do exactly what you want. So as you can see, what we've done is we have found an image that we like. We found a color. We've used paint to use the color picker. We've got the red, green and blue values, and we've put them into a website and converted it to a color code or a hex, and you can use that in your CSS, and I'm going to show you how you can go about doing that. One other thing I'm going to show you, say for example you have this shade of green, but you're thinking to yourself, you know what, I like that shade, but if only it was slightly darker, or if only it was slightly lighter. Let's do it again. Let's do another search. Let's see what we can find. So if we type in web hex color lighter darker, click enter. Let's have a look what we can get. Let's click on this one here, see if this works. Nope, I don't like the look of that. Let's try the next one. Let's try this one. Let's try this one. See what we get. Ah, this one looks really good. This looks like the sort of thing I'm after. So let's close that. Let's go ahead and find the green. Okay, so we've got the green that we wanted. We copied that from an image. Let's go ahead and put that into the box here and click submit. Well, it doesn't seem to be working. We're not having much luck, are we? Oh, you see what it says here? The color code is not yet valid. I'm going to go ahead and take a guess that they don't like the hash at the start of it. So let's try that. Let's delete the hash, click submit, and there we have it. We've got the original, and then we've got slightly darker versions going up in 10%, 20, 30, 40, and 50. And you can change that here. So let's go for lighter, click submit. And now we've got lighter versions. So we've got the original, and then we've got it going slightly lighter. So for example, you may say to yourself, actually, you know what, I wanted it slightly lighter. So you might say that's the color code that I want. Now let me really quickly show you how to use these in a website. So let's click on Visual Studio 2019. I'm just going to randomly select a web project that I've created before. These aren't going to really be proper websites. They're just going to be kind of like starter for 10s that I've not finished. So we've got ourselves a web form page. So this is clearly ASP.NET Web Forms. Let me just go ahead and right click that and say view in browser. Let's just see what we're dealing with. Okay, so we've got a hello world page. I'm guessing, bearing that in mind, there's some code here. I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to comment that out. I'm going to alt tab back to the HTML. So I'm going to do this super quickly because I just want to show you how you could go about using those colors on your own website. So I'm literally just going to knock together a quick kind of skeleton website, nothing too fancy. It's just for the purpose of showing you how you could go about doing some styling. I'll call this main, and I'll call this one here footer. Right, let's get some CSS linked. So we'll use this, drag it to the header, we've linked it, let's save it, alt tab back, we should have nothing. We're still getting hello world. Actually, you know what, I didn't build it. Let me build it. I've built it, alt tab back, refresh, should be a blank page. It is. Let's go ahead, and in here we're just going to write header, and in the footer we're just going to write footer. Save that, alt tab back and refresh. Okay, looks good enough for me. I'm going to put main in there as well just for consistency. Alright, very quickly, let's have a look. If you wanted to use that colour, for example, as let's say the background to the header, let's flip over to the CSS, and all you would do, hash header, and then we're going to say background colour. There it is. Paste it in. Yeah, just copied and pasted the hex. Save it. Go back to your website. Click refresh. Okay, we must have missed something. Let's have a look what we got here. Background colour is set. It's probably that I used a capital H there. Let's try again. Make sure both pages are saved. Refresh it. Oh, we're missing something, aren't we? What are we missing? You know what? I've got a sneaky suspicion this is Edge. Yeah, it was. Edge sometimes caches the page. I was actually hitting Control F5, which is really strange because normally that would get the latest copies and the latest CSS and clear the cache, but for some reason I've noticed that Edge can be a little bit temperamental with these things. No big deal, let's carry on. Let's go ahead and give that header some padding. Let's just give it something like 30 px. Let's go ahead and change the font, change the family to something different. Let's say this one's pretty cool. Let's save that. Let's go ahead and make the actual font much bigger, so that'll be font size. Let's make it huge. Let's make it 40, I don't know, 2 PT. I'm sure it's PT, it's been a while. Yeah, that looks good enough. Let's go ahead and make it bold as well. So we want font weight. Let's go bold, save, alt tab back. And let's, I don't know, let's make the actual text, I'm going to go for white smoke. There we go, just slightly off white colour. Okay, so we've actually taken that from another website. We've used paint to get the red, green and blue. We've used a website to convert the red, green and blue to a hex. We've used another website to go ahead and make it lighter, and then we've found the exact colour we wanted. So let's go back to Dribble. Let's take this colour pink and we'll use that for the footer. Let's go back to our CSS. Same thing, hash footer. We're going to go ahead and say background colour, and we're going to set it, save it, flip back over, and guess what? Edge has probably cached it again. So let's go to the title URL, click enter. It might have been my fault actually, sorry guys, I needed a hash. That looks better. Save it, refresh it, excellent, we're back in business. Let's go ahead and copy the rest of it there, paste that under there. There we go, so we've got a header and we've got a footer. I mean, obviously, you know, this isn't looking superb. The purpose of this video is to show you how to find a color that you might like to use. And I'm going to throw in an additional tip here. I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do a quick CSS gradient. So if you type in CSS Gradient, more than likely W3 Schools will come up, which is a great site. This one here will do. Let's accept. Let's go ahead and use just a linear gradient like this. Absolutely fine, perfect. Copy that. Let's flip back to our CSS. Just underneath background color, go ahead and paste that in. And we're going to use the color that we selected, let's say on the left hand side. So let's say here, save that, flip back to our site, and we've got ourselves a little gradient there. You might want to change that color. We can change it. We can change that to white, for example, which is looking better, but obviously it doesn't go so well, does it, with the white text. So let's make it, I don't know, black. Yeah, so you get the idea. We can have a gradient there, and likewise we can have a gradient on the footer. So let's go ahead and do the same thing. Now obviously, like I say, this doesn't necessarily look amazing, but the purpose of this wasn't to create a site that looks amazing. Perhaps we can do that in another video. The purpose of this video was just to show you how to go about finding a color on a website and just had to have a little bit of a play around with different colours, copying colours from images, that kind of thing. And with that said, that looks pretty awful with the black gradient, doesn't it? So let's flip that back to something else. Let's change it back to white. I think maybe change that one to yellow. What do you reckon? Okay. Yeah, I think that'll wrap it up for this video. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, go ahead and like it for me. That would be superb. If you want to see similar content going forward, lots of programming related content, go ahead and subscribe. What's the worst that could happen? And if you have any questions, go ahead, throw them in the comment section below, or any suggestions for future videos. And until next time, take care.